Recording on this computer. Here we go.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
So there you go. That's the comedian over there.
Am I on mute? Because it says mute in the top right. Oh no, is that the option to mute?
That's the option to mute.
Okay.
So that's the option. So when I start talking total shit, you just press that. Keep nodding. I won't know.
And I'll give you a thumbs up.
Yeah, and then when you stop, when I stop talking, you get a round of applause. You go, yeah, it was great, Paul. I have no idea what you
Yeah, brilliant. So
you would do.
inspirational.
Inspirational, man. So yeah. So where were we? We were talking about
Two things. There was one which is that nobody knows what they're talking about, and everyone's kind of blagging it. And that I personally still don't feel like an adult yet, and I'm 35. And but yeah, I'm still got a much more kind of, I think, centered attitude, or at least I don't know. It sounds a bit egotistical that. But I feel like I'm prepared to have an adult conversation, whereas other people are kind of like, no, don't want an adult conversation. I'm locked into my idea. Do you know what I mean? Like protecting that story. And then the second thing was something to do with responsibility and authority, and how and how the two are linked, and how in order to get that, we were saying that that there's a hierarchy of competence, and that there's an attack on competence because it implies that there's authority based on who has, you were saying, the best information in certain circumstances. And so in order to get rid of that authority, because it's coming across as authoritarian, we have to attack that, destroy competence, and just go with feelings and not have to worry about reality and logic.
which is why everything's failing miserably, right?
Yeah. That's why, like, you look at feminism and its attack on the Western culture, saying that it's all built on a patriarchal tyranny, when it's not.
Right.
It's built on capitalism and competence and other structures, and that women are oppressed, and it's not. Everybody's been oppressed for various different reasons at different times, and nobody's specially oppressed in any way. Do you know what I mean? It's like, instead of it, I think and that's why I love this little podcast thing we've got going, is because the conversation should be about better ways of being. Okay, well, let's say if there are, give people the benefit of the doubt and say that life was tough. Well, how can we improve things and make things better? And how can we have a more productive conversation, as opposed to stay in victimization and keep attacking people and bullying people because we have the right to do it, because we're victims and oppressed, and we're doing it for our ancestors. It's ridiculous.
I couldn't have said that better myself.
Well,
that was eloquently beautiful.
Well, I'm going to applaud myself then.
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a thumbs up. There you go. You're on it. So, yeah, okay. So what I was talking about and alluding to when we were chatting prior to this this conversation here is the fact that pretty much everything you've just said. The problem is that me being the most competent is just a fact. If I am at that time the most competent, but it's just not always going to be that way. I was talking also about the Stealing Fire book that I've just read, which, to cut it down to a few sentences, is about a hive mind mentality. So when elite Navy SEALs go into an operation, there's no hierarchy there. They're all potentially the leader at any given time. And
it's interchangeable.
It's interchangeable. So all 8 of them could be the leader, depending on who has the most knowledge or competence at any given moment. So the person at the front may see something. They may be at the front for whatever reason. That may make them the leader. But then something happens further back. The person nearest to that may have more information. They may have the most information. They become the leader. We follow. So the flow of who the leader is moves without it having to be said to whoever has the most information and is in the best position to lead.
Can I interject there a second?
Yeah.
Because that the way you describe that, and I've just had a bit of an epiphany while you were saying that, because it reminds me exactly of the game of tag as a child. You know, when you tag someone, you're it, tag, you're it, and now they're it. Oh, I'm it, I'm it. And it's sort of like, it's that, there you go, there's the burden of leadership. Oh, and then the kid has an existential crisis because now they've got to be an adult, and now they've got to tag somebody else because you've got to pass on the tag. So, and I used to not like being it, because that means then that I prefer running away from problems. Like, I don't like having to tag other people. I don't like having to be in that position of control and responsibility of having to make sure that the next person is tagged. Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of like, whereas now I see it as, oh, it's not a game of, oh, you're in trouble, tag, you're it. It's more of a case of, tag, you've got the leadership.
A little bit like that. But really, there's an objective. And the objective is to, say, capture somebody in that building, as if we're going to talk about Navy SEALs. And so what literally happens is they all have to basically, they all want the same objective. They all want the same thing. And the best way to do that always is if they're in a building, and of course, remember that they're confronting an incredible amount of chaos. They have no idea what is in that building, who's in that building, what's going to happen. They've got zero idea. Every moment has to be alert to something new is going to happen, might happen. A guy might come out of that door, a bomb might go off, a tripwire might be, it doesn't matter what it is. But the way they survive and are so efficient, they put down to this hive mind mentality that even when they're training, the people who are the captains and the leaders are not captains and leaders in anything other than name, and the fact that their paycheck says so, and their responsibility is to go and write up something or whatever. But in the moment of the action, they're all, and this isn't about equality. That's the thing. This isn't about it being. It's only fair that they're all equal. It's not about that, even slightly. The idea is that you have a group of people, many times with slightly different skills and knowledges and variations, but basically they're all trained quite highly to do what they're doing. Part of that training is the idea, the person who has the most and best information at any given moment is the leader. And the training also includes everybody should know who that is without it having to be said. So everybody's analyzing everything all the time. So it's not really like a game of tag, because there's people, it's like, oh, I have the most information, and I'm aware that I have the most information because I can see this situation. I am the leader. And I will go on. And then 2 seconds later, that situation might change and everybody goes, oh, that guy. Now we know he's the leader. And it moves. But the reason it's so efficient and works so well should be blindingly obvious. It should be blindingly obvious. First of all, everybody's working to the same ends, and everybody's taking themselves out of the equation. Myself, my ego, to be the leader is not part of the equation. If you have that in you, you're not even going to be in the team. So if you can drop self, drop the ego, and go, okay, we're all doing this. This is what we're going to do. And at any given point, one person could remain the leader for the whole time, or it could jump every 10 seconds, somebody else. The point is, we don't know, but we flow. That sounds quite nice. We don't know, we flow. That's good, Doug. Write that down. I've got a pen.
That's almost as good as if you dream it, you can be it.
No, it's better than that.
I don't know.
I know it is. You don't know, you flow. That's good. That's it. That's the point. The point is that why wouldn't you change leadership depending on who knows best? And obviously, this is a small, highly trained group of people with a very specific purpose. So whether it would translate to the National Health Service, I have no idea. It probably wouldn't. But I think it's more the fact that their objective is mutually beneficial. and not for me to win and be the guy that catches the guy.
So who's at the top of the hierarchy fluctuates depending on the ever-changing circumstances. It might not even just be knowledge. It could be predicated on whatever, who's fit. So say if you're going to do something, I can't do it. If I've just broke my arm, you go do it. It's if you're in any kind of battle or confrontation or anything where you're trying to advance or trying to seek out a particular goal, it's sort of like who's the most fit.
Yeah, the fitness thing could easily come into play. It's literally what is the best next action, and who is best positioned to do that. Not it's my job, so I'll do it, even if I've got.
Sorry, can you say that again? Who is the best at what's next?
Who is best placed to do what's required to do next? Who is in the best position? Yeah. So we were having a conversation. We've been setting this up for a couple of hours today and trying to get the technology right and things like that. And we've had a conversation about technology, microphones, and that's something I've been involved with because I'm a musician. So I have a pretty good knowledge of sound recording, mics, blah, blah, blah. So as a team together, me and you could get stroppy about that and go, no, I'm going to do the mics because your ego says, well, I should know about that. And I said, well, but there's no point. So when we behave together, you'll generally very quickly, if it's that, go, oh, I don't care, you do it. Which is fine, because I'm happier just doing it. I know what I'm doing. And then we swing along because the egos aren't bashing together going, oh, I should be doing that. Or I want to be, is it Doug and Paul or Paul and Doug? I don't care. Because that doesn't matter unless you've got an ego. It doesn't matter because that's not the point of what we're trying to do here. The point of what we're trying to do here is to convey some information. So if our egos are essentially not in the equation, whatever we attempt to do at any point, the natural leader of that particular thing will occur. And there will be, for instance, quite a few things I can think of that you will be much better at that I can't do, and vice versa, and that would improve me, and vice versa. And this is the point. The aim here is for us and everybody involved to get some better understanding of something. Yeah, that's it. All I want to do is, I would really like. I feel like I'm on a cusp right now, because I've been living my life one way for 47 years, nearly, more or less. And with that kind of red pill thing, I've been trying to take that for since about 2013, 12, 13 at least.
So for people that don't know, what is your definition? And everyone has a slightly different definition. What do you mean by red pill?
Okay, so obviously there are various ways that's been used as.
But how do you mean it, mate?
How do I mean it? So for me, the red pill is really talking about the idea that there's a matrix going on here. You know, the film, The Matrix, that we're living in it, and that for me, it's slightly. It's not as obvious as we're living in a computer program for me. It's more like the idea that I think we all live in a virtual reality in our heads. We in a sense, we already all live within our own heads, no different from a screen here. And everybody's version, and I've said this before, like a fingerprint of what reality is slightly different. Therefore, we're all missing quite a lot. But my red pill idea is literally that. Sorry, there she is. Wave.
There's a chip off the old red pill.
There's a chip off the old red pill. Just imagine the advantages she's going to have listening to this. She'll go into school and go, "Have you taken the red pill yet, Mrs.
Yeah.
Bell?" And they'll go, "What's that mean?" "Oh, don't worry, it's a bit existential for you. Don't worry about it. We'll be all right."
And she'll start dodging bullets.
Bending over like.
Yeah.
Look, Have you done? You've done really well, darling. Okay. So, I find it hard to explain, but the long and short of it is that the story that we're all adhering to of society isn't real. But it's hard to.
What is the real story then?
And I think we've touched on this before, or I've been thinking about this quite a bit. This idea that we touched upon in our last thing about. I was thinking about it driving Olivia to school this morning, actually, before I had to go and pick her up. That it's kind of strange that we've managed to all survive and rub along. So I know we have had world wars and there's constant battles and struggles, and I'm not sure how much the media is responsible for making those seem bigger than they really are. A lot, I'd imagine. But we're all still here in a fairly organized fashion, kind of rubbing along. Okay. So there must be something, and this is where the red pill idea works for me as I kind of explore this idea, a level somewhere beyond the egoic part of us that wants to say, I'm better than you and I'm going to make more money and I'm going to blow your country up or whatever, yada, 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 that connects us, that prevents all that anger and hatred and whatever. You know, why is everybody just not walking around just killing everybody else they don't like, which people frequently say, and if they're honest, frequently think. Most people go, I would never think that, and then they go home and they do. We all do at some point, for the most part. I don't know. All I know is that the society that we have now, it seems to be predicated on lots of ideas that just don't stand up. I mean, there's this multiple level thing though, isn't there? There's this upper consciousness issue, and then there's the whole leftist rightist thing going on, and then you've got the hard, but I don't know, you tell me.
Well, last time we spoke about stories and what it was like to assert a goal, because we spoke about, because just linking it back to the last podcast to kind of continue the conversation a bit and how we started this one. So before we were talking about story and we were talking about asserting a goal and that emotions kind of helped us track our goal. Because when we felt good, we were heading towards our goal, and when we felt bad, it's usually because something that we didn't want to happen kind of happened, or it didn't pan out the way we anticipated. And I think this time, where my head's at is that in association with the story is playing a game. And that's essentially, it's like, what's the game that we're playing here? And so I've just made a few notes while just listening to you. So when I think of a game, and that's why I kind of mentioned the tag, and sort of like when you talk about that book that you read about, what was it, Playing with Fire or something, was it?
Stealing Fire.
Stealing Fire, beg your pardon. So Stealing Fire, so that would have been a particular circumstances where they had those rules and procedures and that way of doing things. So it's a lot to do with environment, which environment. So when you drive on the road, there's a different game to when you're walking on the path. When you go in the kitchen, there's a different game to when you go in the bathroom, because the environment is designed for you to act in a particular way. And so it's because it's designed for a particular purpose. And so that kind of keeps us in behaving in certain ways towards our goal, because there are certain lanes that we've got to stick in, because that's the game that everybody's playing. So if you go and do a corporate gig, you're playing a particular type of game. That's why the Ricky Gervais stuff is so good, because he just goes in there and just breaks up the game. He just throws a bomb on it and just destroys it by breaking the fourth wall. And that's the comedy of it, and that's the uncomfortableness of it, and that's for those that want to feel that. And but for most of the time, people want to get to where they want to go, so they need a path, they need a journey, they need a map. So they have to choose a lane. They have to choose a game that they're going to participate in to get them to where they want to be. So some people, it might be doing music. Other people, it might be going to the army. Other people might do something, you know, in all the different professions that you have, because you have to contribute to a society in order to reap the rewards, to benefit from it, to get what you want to get. That's the whole idea of the exchange, is that I give you value, we exchange money or something in return, and then I get it back. And that's the exchange that's going on. Sort of like, I do something for you, you do something for me. And if I don't want what I want back from you, I can then take that currency over to somewhere else to exchange it. Hello, honey. To exchange it for something else. Does that make sense? So we're all playing a different game, and money, that's why money is a big thing all the time. It's kind of like the currency that's used to play in between different games, because it can be used across all of them to some extent.
Yes.
As an example, as a metaphor.
Yeah.
And money's kind of like nowadays, sorry, I just dropped something. Nowadays, money's more of like a social contract, as opposed to having any intangible value. So I'll just drop my pen everywhere. So when I think of a game, I think of a player, because you've got to play the game, and the game requires rules. You've got to make moves in the game, and you've got to play a role in the game, because you're a piece on the board. So if you're playing Snakes and Ladders, a very good example. If you're playing Snakes and Ladders, you roll the dice, you take your chance, and you go forward 3 squares, and you go up the ladder. So you got promoted, and then you roll the dice again, you get 2. And, you snaked all the way back down to the beginning again. You lost the game. That kind of a thing. So if you play a game of chess, if you play, there's, like I say, there's different games in different professions, and everybody's playing their role within that. That's how you establish a hierarchy, and who has more authority and power and responsibility. And so I think alongside stories is the idea of that we're playing a game, and the two kind of interlink together, because they're kind of both, one is sort of like the map, the other one is sort of like the territory, and the objective and the meaning, the who, what, why, where, when, how. All those fall under either a story or a game, or both, working in conjunction to get to an asserted outcome, to get from where you are now to where you would like to be. I'm going to stop talking now because I've blabbered on for a bit, but your thoughts on that?
A lot.
So when you talk about Red Pill, there's sort of like, it sounds like you're playing the wrong game. It's like you're playing one game and you're meant to be playing another game.
Yes, that's nice. It just feels like there are multiple. Yeah, and there are multiple levels of games going on. And there's this whole. It's the VR thing I was talking about is I guess similar to beliefs. So, your story is kind of by definition also founded on a set of beliefs that you have, or they're intrinsically linked. So you're if your story is that she's just getting in on it, she just likes waving.
She's so lovely.
She goes, "Hi, Doug." She's scoffing. What are you scoffing at the minute? Tic Tacs. She can do what she likes right now. So yeah, there's this. What's Doug doing?
Sorry, Paul. Yeah.
No, it's all right. Whoa! Did you see that? I bet you can't do that again.
No, I bet I can't. I only practiced it once. Sorry, what were you saying? I'm interrupting you.
Sorry. Yeah. That we all have this story, okay, and that at the bottom of the bedrock of that will be perhaps a set of beliefs. In that. You're brought up, say, to be a Christian or whatever. We've been through this before. You have this your set of beliefs, and everything you do is your story is built on that set of beliefs, essentially. And anything that contradicts that, you either say, "No, I'm not having that. It's not true." and what you do from there could be you fight it, you start the Me Too movement. I don't know, whatever it might be. But it seems that nobody at all, or very, very few people, seem to be questioning these beliefs, why their story is what it is, and how it's evolved, and what that is. Because here's where the red pill, the matrix part of it comes in. Who started the story? All right, or where did the set of beliefs that the story is built on come from? That's important to know. And arguably, okay, so there's a number of answers to that. You've got evolution. You've got, okay, these things just evolved. But supposing I was given the story and I can't remember by who.
Like I said before, I mean, because you're talking more about stories than game at the moment, but because to me the story is, where are we now? Where would we like to be? Because we're where we're at now, and there's going to be a future self, because we can't go backwards. And I'm kind of trying to do this to line up so it looks good on the screen, because like you can be A to B and things can go better, or you can be A to B and things can get worse, or they can just stay the same. They're the kind of like options that you've got. But really over time, everything deteriorates because we get older, decrepit and die. So, and disease, and like, there are so many things that can take us out at any given point that it's better to have an aim up here. So as you go towards that, like aim for the moon and land in the gutter or whatever it is, aim for the stars and land on the moon or whatever the saying is, aim high. And then you'll just have, because everything's going to go down anyway. So then you'll have a good trajectory for your life, as opposed to just going, do you know what I mean? Or sort of like that kind. But that's kind of like, so to me, the game is, how do you get from here to here? What game are you going to play? What's your strategy? What's your how? So say, for example, I need to get money. I need to have family. I need to be independent, all this kind of stuff. Oh, I'll become a musician. So I'll sell my services. I seem to be good at that. Or, oh, I'm good. I'll be a lawyer. Oh, I'm good. I'll be a carpenter. I'll be a plumber. So you choose your role in society. You choose your role in the game that you're playing. So for each profession, there'll be a different game that everybody kind of knows how to play. So when I interact with a magician, when you interact with somebody that knows what they're talking about with music, you know how to, and therefore you can establish quite quickly who's who in the hierarchy, because you both know what you're talking about. But there must be an overall social game that we're playing where all these fit into each other, like an overarching game. Do you know what I mean? And so when there's a problem in that, there's a glitch in the matrix. Because but then is there a problem? So what is the problem that like think should be solved by having these conversations, by having curiosity, by like, what do you think is the better alternative to how things are? Because at the moment, everything's going really well. Like everybody's getting richer, and even the poor are getting richer. Like like the world is a pretty good place right now. So is all these things that you think are a bad thing actually a good thing if it's lifting everybody up? And it's not separating people.
So why are we doing this then? And the answer is that depression, unhappiness, a lack of fulfillment in life is rife in the world. So lots of people, I think it is. It's certainly true that more people are clinically depressed and unhappy and all that kind of thing.
People are depressed and unhappy.
A lot more people. But here's the rub: a lot more people are pretending to be happy. And I would be one of those. You know, I know that there's been this real sense of meaninglessness that I've suffered from for quite a while. But it's not exactly meaninglessness. There's an undertow of something's not right. And what the something not right is that yes, I think a lot of people and social media and to a degree the dream it you can be it kind of thing plays a big part in this. It's like, and this is back down to what's my goal? What game do I want to play? I guess if you want to bring it into the game thing, what game do I want to play? Do I want to play the game where I make as much money as possible, have a massive house, you know, drive a big car, have lots of power, well, which seems to be the game that most people seem to want to play at the minute. A lot of people seem to want to be a millionaire, but without all the effort, or they seem to want to be on Instagram and have a zillion followers and be really popular. And they seem to want all these things. And because that seems to be what we're being sold is the thing to do, right? But it's not making anybody happy. And I was watching this thing with Elon Musk, and you know, he's saying there are loads of people with lots of money who are just really, there are a lot of very unhappy people out there. Obviously, we don't have a problem with that because we got this.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't mean to interrupt your depressing story with happiness.
No. but on cue, look at that face, man. She's just pulling it off.
Tic Tacs.
Okay, and you know what? I'm going to bring what she's doing into this.
Well, yeah,
she's actually really happy. She's 5 years old.
It's because she's hardcore.
she is hardcore.
Can she hear what I'm saying or not?
No.
All right.
She's putting faces. But she's just. Oh no, Doug's fallen over the screen. She's copying you. But here's the thing, right? She's just playing. She's just in the moment. She's just having fun, prattling about with you. She's happy as a sandboy. There's nothing wrong with her life. And as you know, there really is.
Ow. Yeah, so I think it's more about
speaking.
I think it's more important to do what's meaningful instead of what makes you happy. That's the Peterson thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so do what's meaningful rather than expedient. I just think that if you have a really honest conversation with an awful lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, I don't know that, I don't know how many people, it certainly seems that dissatisfaction at the very least with when I get my Ferrari, it doesn't make me happy, actually. And I want more, and I want more and more and more. And you see it with some of the Arabs where it has to be a gold-plated Ferrari, but then if it's not just gold-plated, if the wheels and everything in it's not gold-plated, and then even that's not enough, then it has to be diamond encrusted on top of the gold-plated, and then it has to be 24-karat diamond gold on top of it. Never, it's just never ending. It's a place you can never finish.
Well, that's because the world is full of material things.
True, but it seems, and this is me from my perspective. This is not me saying how it all is. I'm not pretending to be Jesus Christ, right? You know, I'm just saying, I believe if you had an honest conversation with a lot of people, they would, particularly if they're in the rat race, if they're trying to climb that greasy pole, they would say they wish they weren't, and there must be something better than this shit.
So what's the thing that's better?
Well, this is the question we're trying to answer, Doug.
Oh, I can answer that. It's just started snowing here. Is it snowing where you are?
No, it's kind of raining.
Yeah, it's just turned into snowy, sleety kind of. Yeah, it's nice. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that the distraction is that it's all material. That, like you were talking about there, material possessions. I mean, that's one obvious example. But I think it's really more to do with about conscious agents and interacting with each other. And the material plane is just the way in which we do that. Like, materialism isn't fundamental, which is how everybody's treating it. Like, it's the most important thing. Mm-hmm. I think consciousness is fundamental, which is what I'm playing about with her, which is why I like paying attention to you, which is not because of what you have or what you can give me. It's the conscious interaction. We're two agents interacting with each other, and each agent has a community of internal agents, and they're all embedded with each other, and you're the controller of all the conscious agents. And so, and then that's as an individual, and then as a community, as a family, as a society, and it just echoes outwards like that. As a country, is that it's just conscious agents interacting with each other. And that's why I think consciousness, like being the observer of the story instead of acting the story out, is more important than materialism.
And to take it to get
Not that,
concise.
not that materialism isn't important, but I'm saying that it's more fundamental. Consciousness is fundamental. Like, you know that you're having an experience. You don't know much else, because if you question everything else, it can be not true. You question a belief, a story, everything we learn in science science goes out of its way to disprove itself. Eventually, there's nothing there. So it's sort of like but you do know that you're having an experience right now. Yes. And so that's the only thing you can ever really know. It's kind of solipsistic in a way, but at the same time, it's the thing that's fundamental. And then you assume everything else.
Absolutely. The red pill could be this, that the getting lost in that material, the pursuit of material gains, the pursuit of, I'm just looking at her. She's, what are you doing now? I don't know what she's doing. The pursuit of material, taking the red pill is like finding that level of consciousness where you realize that.
Sorry, Matt, I'm listening to you. I'm sorry, I'm being rude.
No, I'm just watching you. No, I just want to see what you're going to do with it. Like,
I used to be a children's entertainer.
What I want is to see it go across the top now. That's what I really want.
We can't have everything you want in life, Paul, all right?
But I want that.
What's up? Fine, we'll do it.
Yeah, but without your arm.
Ah, you saw the strings. Right. Sorry, what were you saying, mate? I'm listening around.
The red pill is
with her, but I'm listening to you.
And that's the lovely thing about what we're doing here, spontaneity, because that's what I'm trying to go for. The red pill awareness, if you like. When you take that red pill, what you become aware of is that there is this level of consciousness that connects us. That's this moment. That's the fundamental thing that you can get some real fulfillment out of. That's red pill awareness, if you want to coin a phrase, is that all of this stuff, and I, again, we had this before, where look, I'm in a body, and that body's limited, and it needs warmth, and it likes to eat nice things, and it likes to be stimulated by entertainment and music and all those other things. And so there are good ways to have those things happen, and not, a really nice sound system does sound good to these ears, these organic ears. Hey, Olivia, you watching? Oh, it's snowing. It looks going to be
snowing so much.
Oh no. So
it's a cushion.
She's good, Doug. She's a magician, right? Can't put you should have a kids version of Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
And have Olivia on it going,
She's so lovely.
She beats your hands down, mate, for the like.
Yeah.
She's a nightmare, though.
All right, that's enough.
All right, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, look. It comes down to, I think, where you place your value. Right. There's an element of where you place your value. If you are lost in that rat race, in that game of it's all about stuff, it's about, if I have designer clothes and a fancy car, then that makes me better than you. That's where you're going to get lost. And that's where resentment and anger are bred in the, oh, hold on a minute, I thought I had the best car. I thought I was the only gay in the village. Now there's somebody that's gayer than me. That's not fair. I'm resentful.
Yeah, I think the red pill is like, the trouble is it started off with intersexual dynamics, because it was the red pill and the blue pill, the way that you're told the way that the world is and the way that nature pans itself out. And a lot of people have kind of run off with the term red pill and used it for various other things. But at the end of the day, it's the difference between what I make out it to be is like the fantasy or the imagination and the reality of the situation, and the difference between the two, how you would like things to be, how it should be, and how it is. And that's why it's so difficult to go on that journey down the rabbit hole, because it's But my biggest one was that we can't see truth; we can only see fitness, and that just blew my mind. And I'm still digesting it now. I learned it over a year ago, and it's really helped me because I was really struggling and suffering because it didn't. There were certain things that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Is she okay?
She's fine, yeah. Let me just
Do you want
find
to
out what she
sit,
wants.
pay attention
What do you want,
a bit?
darling?
When is Mummy coming back?
She's coming back shortly, about 3:30. Okay. You're supposed to be at school, remember? You're bunking off. And you're not actually that poorly, but we don't care, do we? You're just tired, aren't you? We're having a duvet day, look.
Duvet day.
Look.
I'm having a pillow day.
This is we've got a big duvet, look. And Doug's having a pillow day.
And a leather jacket day.
A leather jacket day, and he's not sitting in the car day.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah, so
I think I like that. I like that analogy, that way of describing it. The difference between reality, because we were talking earlier about hierarchy and it's not and fairness and all of those things. In other words, it's not fair that so and so has that power, or it's not fair that and that everything has to be like equalized and equality and all equality of outcome and all that kind of thing. But I don't want to distract from where you're going, because you're on it. You're on something.
For me, that's the biggest one for me is that. Yeah, I mean, like I say, the red pill started off in literally just after the Matrix film came out, and it was described by the people that were pickup artists as describing what they were doing differently to the people that weren't pickup artists. And the fact that you call it an art was even, and there were so many different techniques and all that spawned off of it. And it's no different to the performance arts, really, because again, it's playing a role, it's playing a character, it's playing out a social role, and I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think it's more to do with the imagination and reality. And for me, the biggest one was, what's the truth? I was always interested in truth, and so. Yeah. Now I'm at the stage where I realise that we can't see truth. Truth makes us extinct, and we're not capable of seeing it. All we can see is fitness based on our human story, in our human perceptions. So that really took a load off, because I was suffering for a long time, because I was like, what's true? Because I kept questioning everything. Things just weren't true. Whenever my ego would tell me something, I'd question it with curiosity, and I find out it's not really true. So how can you trust and have certainty in anything when everything's just breaking away around you? It's very chaotic. It's very unsteady. It's very uncertain. And but to know that, or again, this might just be another story, but it's the best story that we have at the moment, is that we don't see the world as it is. We see the world in terms of fitness functions. We don't see truth. We see fitness, because we're only designed to stay alive and have babies, survival and reproduction. We're not designed for enlightenment. We're not designed to figure out the meaning of the universe or anything. We're just designed for what we're capable of being able to do within the confines of what we're not designed to just fly to the moon. That's why we can't. But we are designed to jump, but just not to the moon, because that's our human encapsulation. You know, a bird can fly through the sky because that's having a bird experience. The bird is still a conscious agent. We're a conscious agent. We're just having a different, but the universe experiences itself through different organisms and conscious agents.
Yeah.
And it's just playing with form to pay attention to itself.
Layla. It's known as, or can be known as.
What's Layla?
It's an Eckhart Tolle thing. It's exactly what you just said, that everything's a game.
I thought it was a, what's it called song? Layla, you got me on my knees. Layla.
Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head which tradition that came from, but yeah, I mean that is a big part of it, is this idea that it's all a game, or it's all play, it's all interaction, and what happens if, and that's just keeps going around like that, and therefore if you want to take it all seriously and try and nail it all down, you'll fail. Like you say, truth, that it's almost like there can't be a truth, because it's moving all the time.
Well, it's species specific. So it's sort of like a human being has a truth, and let's say a shark has a truth. And so human beings function on land and sharks function in water. We can't function in water as well. We have a different truth in water because we have a different fitness function in water because we require oxygen in different way to which a shark does. And just all the different, we've evolved to live in particular living environments. And so the ones that survive best and where we flourish best, where we meet the goal that we're trying to reach is survival and reproduction. So anything that facilitates that is the line of fitness.
Yeah.
That's why it's nice to look at the girl and go, oh, she's fit. But oh my God, that's disgusting. No, it's exactly, you couldn't be any more right. That's probably the truest thing.
What you will ever say, yeah.
Yeah, so sort of like if you don't have enough oxygen, so it's ill health. If you have too much oxygen, it's ill health. If you have too little water, you dehydrate. If you have too much water, you drown. So there's a fitness, there's in everything. If you think to this way, if you think to that way, you can apply it to anything. There's a fitness function where it's optimal to have a certain amount. Too much is not enough. Whereas we're programmed to think more is better. That's it, but it's not necessarily true because you go outside the fitness function because the fitness function is in the middle.
So a lot of these fitness functions that you're talking about at the moment are physical fitness functions. So reproduction, food, things that keep us alive and move things forward. Do you think it would be possible to apply it to thinking?
Well, things that keep us alive and move things forward, that's how we create stories and perceive reality. And that's where our thoughts stem from. Because we have to breathe first before we create a thought or story. And so, here's the thing, Paul, is that the reason why we're different as human beings is because, I'm just going to briefly put through this so you can see where the issue is. And this is so deep in so many levels. I don't know if I should go into it all because it's literally just skimming across the surface of so many complicated topics.
Yeah.
But one is that, and there's other ones as well. I'm missing out major points. But one is that we cook food and eat it. So that changes the amount of calories that we have and are able to consume, and the types of food we're able to pre-digest because of fire. Because we created fire, and other animals don't create fire to eat their meals. Yeah. So that changed our brain over time. So we have bigger brains. We had a prefrontal cortex. And so with that, we was able to envision the fact to stay alive better over time. So not just Doug today, but Doug tomorrow, as a Doug from the past. Whereas animals, like we've said before, are more kind of in the present moment because they don't have the brain functioning, because they don't cook food to eat the food, to have the brain, to understand the nature of that experience. Does that make sense? Now you've got a bigger brain. Now we got a bigger skull to hold the brain in. Now it's more difficult to give birth, right? Because that's why the head contracts when it comes out, because the genitals, the female genitals, haven't caught up to the evolutionary thing, so that the child literally head concaves as it comes out. Now you know that you have a future. So now for that changes sexual selection. Are you still able to hear?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
So now that changes sexual selection, because that's on the part of women. They get to sexually select their mate, because after a sexual encounter, they're going to be the ones with potential offspring, and the male doesn't have to have any upfront or aftercare investment, even though it probably wants to. It doesn't have to. Whereas the female is, and they're out for 9 months, and then after that, they need to be taken care of, because when babies come out, they need to be taken care of. So they need to be not 100% selfish, because a lot of women would die in childbirth, but then the baby needs to survive. So they need to think about them plus their baby. The man's just thinking about himself and getting laid. So, and because we're designed to do that anyway, we have these natural impulses and these urges to want to chase our desires, because we're not because again, it's a whole new thing. So just bringing all that together. So that's food, sex, and that's brains. Now that all influences thought and behavior on a daily basis, but people don't think of it analytically like that. They just go, I just feel like this is the right thing to do. I just feel like that isn't. But that's evolutionary programmed through huge amounts of events occurring in order for them to just have a feeling. This is the thing I should be doing right now. And so that's always fascinated me. It's like, well, I know that you feel it's right, even though it's not, doesn't logically make sense. So I have to confront these feelings because I can't contend with you in the realm of logic because you don't function there. So how can I contend in the world of feelings? Well, the way that I do that is by understanding the logic that informs those feelings that they're feeling in the moment. So I can justify, understand that you feel that this is the way forward because that's what you're evolutionary programmed to do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Now,
Yes. Yeah.
now, just to sum all this up quite quickly in answer to your question, is that, and this is all very deep, like, but that's our thing, is to survive and replicate.
That's why we're here, man.
But we're just doing it over a period of time now because we know that we have a future. The other animals don't know that they have a future in the way that we do because they don't have the brains for it because they don't cook their food. And they don't suffer with childbirth in the same way that we do and having to care for offspring that require more.
Yeah.
Because all the offspring are, because they're born prematurely, they're not developed enough for the outside world. Because again, if they were left to full maturity, they wouldn't cope because the brains, that's why it takes up so much calories and energy. Like everything affects everything else, mate. So it's very difficult to just say, well, what about thoughts? Because all our thoughts stem from all of that survival of the gene and the memes that are involved and the archetypes and the emotions that predicate all those and hold those in place. So you're not just a person, you're the whole of history, you're all your ancestors, and you're all the potential because you know that there's consequences to your actions. So you're right in the middle. That's why being in the present moment and doing the right thing in the present moment is so powerful because you're literally connecting your ancestors to your potential future offspring and doing the right thing in that moment. I'm going to stop talking now because I've blabbled on and I've covered a huge area of ground that I didn't intend to. And I didn't plan this or practice it, but that's kind of the basics. There's more to it than that, but that's based on food for survival, sex for reproduction, and all the problems that are entailed with that, and the thought process and the emotions that are required to keep us surviving and reproducing. Boom. That's it, I'm done. You talk.
Dude, drop the bait. Just drop the bass.
Drop the pen. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay,
a lot to digest.
It's a lot to digest. There's a lot to take in, and that needs kind of breaking down, I guess, a bit. But no, But
you can watch this back. That's a great thing about having this recorded.
Yeah. What I'm thinking while I'm really carefully listening to what you're saying in it is how many multiple levels of I guess I was going to say consciousness, but that's not it. There are levels of consciousness and there are levels of physical plane and there are levels between those a little bit, and there are levels of thought in your head and there are levels of inside and outside, external and interaction. And quite often there seems to be quite a range of, we could say, oh, what's the meaning of life? And I could say, well, and so I do these thinking environment sessions, and we'll quite often start with a little dialogue, as we call it, which is not a thinking session. It's just us chatting, basically, dialogue. And it's like, how are you feeling? And I can't answer the question, how am I? Am I okay? How do I feel today? I can't answer it because there are multiple answers to that. On one level, today, I feel really awful. I'm physically not feeling great. I feel quite poorly. I feel ill. My body's aching and my arm hurts. On another level, emotionally, I'm quite hyper. I'm not struggling at all, but I do have a lot of emotional things going on, mostly connected to this one. On another level, I feel great because there's a part of me that knows that all of these things are transitory and my body will heal or I'll die, one or the other, and that's okay, whichever way it goes. I'm cool with that, and that the situation with Olivia will again sort itself out one way or the other, and I'll just deal with whichever way that is when that happens, and that's cool. And so part of me that's connected to this conscious stream above all of these other more physical realm things is having the best time of my life ever. I'm doing things like in the more physical way. I'm ditching things and people and stuff that I'm not interacting very well with. And I'll literally say that. Not that I don't like or I hate or I don't get on with or anything like that. Just that our interactions are just not productive, physically or mentally. So let's just ditch those, because they're giving me physical problems and they're giving me mental problems. And when I say mental problems, I'm resentful towards you because you're taking advantage, or I'm doing this or that or the other, you know. So that question, are you okay? How are you today? Well, just probably best not ask me, because it could take me 20 minutes to filter out the levels, because they're there. And so when we're talking about...
Can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
Because, thank you, because I don't think that's really the question that they're asking. I think because people, when they ask that, they know all that. They know that there's a load of stuff that you have to deal with in your life, that we all have to deal with things, and they're asking if you're okay to interact with them right now.
Yeah.
That's the real question. So if you come out with, oh, there's this and the other, and there's Jesus, oh, he can't take care, or she can't take care of himself, so they're not good to. I can't. Well, how can I be expected to take care of them? I don't know the ins and outs of their situation or what they're going through. I can't. How can I help this person? I don't know if I can, because they can't seem to help themselves. Whereas if you can articulate it and go, I'm all right, thank you, but I've had this happen, but you know, and you just explain it. If it's more kind of that, going back to that aeroplane thing again with the captain of the ship, the captain on it, that's just how I see it. You've got to be like, yeah, this is my responsibility, so I'm responsible for this, and then I can contain that. You contain your stuff.
I'm just tucking her in.
Yeah.
I'm listening. Go.
Would
you right there, Dan? Is that comfortable? She's fine. She's just nodding off.
Like me? Yeah. Well, shall I still?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's saying we're in two little bubbles. I'm responsible for it, because the other person will have loads of stuff that we don't know about, and it's sort of like, and that's why I don't like the whole kind of like leftist idea of like it's a fight for who's victim the most and who's oppressed the most, because that's not a healthy conversation. To try and get a hierarchy, to destroy the hierarchy of competence and replace it with a hierarchy of incompetence of who's the most victimized. So fuck that. Let's get back to the fact that we're all responsible human beings, and we all have to go through shit, and we have to take care of ourselves and each other. That's a better plane to start from. So when they're saying, how are you? Or are you okay? They're basically saying, you got your shit together so that we can have a chat. Because I've got my shit together, and I'd like to have a chat with you. Sorry, go on.
A couple of things that just, and again, I'm not, don't want to jump on you.
No, please do. I interrupted you.
So really interesting thing you just said there that I'd like to get on record. That replacing a hierarchy of competence with a hierarchy of what did you call it?
Incompetence.
Yeah. Sorry. And this hierarchy of competence is back down to my stealing fire and of helping me and helping each other. The basic premise of that hive mind is it's in my interest to make sure you're okay, because then we all do well, and vice versa. That's that hive mind. Hierarchies will exist for sure. You're always going to have super talented people, or super clever people, or super gifted people, and every shade of grey between there and the bottom, right? But that isn't to say that if you're down here somewhere, that your value isn't as equally important to keeping this whole thing going. If I respect you for that position that you're in, and vice versa. In other words, somebody needs, if you've got a big group of people, there needs to be organization. And until we evolve to the stage where we can all naturally organize ourselves and go, yeah, you know what? I am a cleaner. That's my thing. But I'm brilliant at it. I'm the best one. And without me being here, the rest of this thing falls apart. I am as important.
Well, sorry, again, just to interject, because I just want to add on to what you're saying there, is that say if you're a cleaner and you walk into a hospital room or something, and the way you treat that person is how you're interacting with the hospital, or how the people are interacting with that. Or if you go into a gym, for example, and somebody walks in the door, because the first person is cleaning the carpet and the cleaner's rude to the person, that's their first impression of the company.
Yes.
So so that the role that you give somebody is doing so many other little roles inside of that, not just the primary role that they're given. So so etiquette and politeness and all those other things are really important, because that's how you never know at what point people are going to enter that company. So you need to know that what the people that you have employed in those positions are going to provide the best interaction. That's why Starbucks spends so much money on like customer service and stuff like that, and put the little smiley faces on. And McDonald's, you got to be polite, because it's the point of interaction, and because it does so much more than just do the role and do the job. You're doing so much other stuff as well that's adding value to the company that increases the stock shares.
Well, and you can take it to that level, and bringing it in a little bit as well, that there's this the idea of fulfillment within your role. So you can be working at McDonald's or a cleaner or whatever it might be, and be doing the best job ever. And there's a very strong chance, if you look like you're doing the best job ever and you're making the best, that in reality, and again, I am not saying this will always happen, but you are by a number of people more likely to be treated better. People are more likely to respect you rather than sitting there. So, and I see this at weddings quite a lot when people are waiting. So they've got a part-time job, they're at university or whatever. Some people that do waiting just enjoy it for the interaction that it is. They don't take it seriously. I'm the waiter. Yeah, okay. Nothing wrong with that. But they're enjoying the interaction. And I watch them do it, and they have a lovely time, and they light the room up. They're part of the entertainment. They're part of what makes that a lovely place to be. Whereas if you're resentful at that position that you have found yourself in, and I've said this with musicians a lot, I've got another analogy with musicians, that resentment just literally just exudes from you. And
sorry, magicians or musicians?
Well, with musicians, but I'm talking about waiters at the minute, waiters and waitresses. Right. And so then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh, he's a miserable git. Oh, well, So you go out to the world with all this resentment or whatever, and this, of course, applies across the board. It doesn't matter which part of the hierarchy you're in. Then you become a self-fulfilling prophecy of, yeah, I told you the world was shit. Well, yeah, everybody's treating you like that because you're treating them like that in advance. So what else can you expect? But that's really a side issue to what we're talking about. I think the main thing is that it's become stigmatized almost, that if you are not this glamorous, beautiful, successful billionaire because of the social media thing to a degree, then you have no value. And we've got to get back to a place where value is determined by your interaction as a human being and really nothing else.
Yeah. I don't know if
does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I don't know if it's I don't think it's social media. I think social media is a relatively new thing. I think people drove Lamborghinis in the 80s. It's not.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And even going back in time, like, people arrange themselves into hierarchies. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the hierarchy that's the problem. I'm saying it's the fact that those hierarchies exist naturally. In fact, if anything, it's that those hierarchies do exist naturally. They do exist outside of any media whatsoever. Like you said, they've existed forever and a day. Okay, sweetheart. All right, you're going for a wee. Good girl. And the hierarchy is a fundamentally important part of success.
Here you go.
But only from the point of view of survival. I think what has happened, and why I maybe mentioned social media, and why I mentioned that the world has gone a little bit crazy, and that hierarchies are being distorted out of all proportion, and that what hierarchies are and the value of them is being distorted out of all proportion by the way that media works now. So everybody wants to be at the top of the hierarchy now, and because of the leftist political correctness thing, everybody should be at the top, right? They should be, because it's their right to be at the top if they want to be at the top. I'm not, by the way, arguing for that. I'm saying that's where it's gone wrong.
I think you're going, yeah.
I was going to say because you need, for a hospital to work as an example, you need people cleaning it, and you
Cleanliness
need
is a big
brilliant.
thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, and you need and it's really, really, really fundamentally important, as is the level of skill of the surgeon.
Here you go. Here's an idea. Like, I think should is a big thing. I think for me, should is the thing that does everything. If you say should, you're suffering.
Yeah.
And so this should have happened. This shouldn't have happened. I should be here. I should be there. And I think where you are is where you should be.
Yeah.
And the people's what's the word I'm trying to say? Dissatisfaction is that they believe that they should be somewhere other than where they are, and they don't appreciate where they're at in the present moment.
Yeah.
Here she is.
She's going to listen. Hold on. Will that go in? There you go.
I thought she was watching Aladdin.
You hear Doug now? No, she's listening to you now. She wants to get in on the conversation.
I like Aladdin. I used to play Aladdin. I was in Aladdin, and I used to play the role of Aladdin. One jump ahead of the lawman, that's all, and that's no joke. These guys don't appreciate I'm broke. Did they have that song in that new film?
Yeah.
Oh, great, because I've only seen the original cartoon. I haven't seen the new one.
Can you hear Doug now, Olivia?
Ahead of the lawman, 3 hops.
Yeah, all the original songs are in there, yeah.
A whole new world, don't you dare close your eyes.
Oh, Doug, you little actor, you.
I know, I'm great.
I know.
Do you like it, Olivia? Do you like Aladdin? Yeah, what do you like about it?
You can speak, they'll hear you.
Because I see the princess.
You see the Princess Jasmine? Yeah, she's gorgeous, isn't she?
She's pretty hot. She's pretty hot. But we don't like the bit where the really bad guy. Yeah, he's quite scary occasionally.
I don't like him.
We don't like him at all, really. And when he becomes his own version of the genie, a genie himself. Does that happen in the original? Because he does that in this one. I don't know.
In the original one, the genie was blue, but Will Smith's in this one as the genie, isn't he?
He's the genie and he's blue, but Jafar makes a wish to become the genie, a genie.
Oh, that's what the bad genie.
The bad genie, yeah. So then he realizes, as Arthur does, all the power in the universe, teeny weeny living space. So it's a great little gag that they put into it. But yeah, so we don't like him, but we were waiting all the way through the film, hoping that he would get to kiss the princess at the end.
Oh, Jafar?
Not Jafar, no.
Aladdin.
Well, Aladdin. And it rolls. The sun comes out, everything works out, and he gets to kiss the princess. So Olivia was pleased at that.
I'll have to watch
Olivia was pleased at that. It's quite well put together, I have to say. And Will Smith, right? He's brilliant, really. I like him.
Because they're doing all the old films, aren't they? I've seen that. Like, I'd like to see The Lion King. I saw a little bit of one of the other ones that they did, but they've brought out all sorts. Beauty and the Beast, all sorts of Cinderella.
Yeah, we've seen Cinderella. They've kind of spun the modern.
And Beauty and the Beast.
We've seen
Beauty and the Beast. Taylor's Old as Time. Is that in there still? Is it still got the same old songs?
Yeah.
I like them. I used to watch when I was little.
Yeah, well, they've got their own charm, right? So we could do a Jordan Peterson and analyze all the Disney movies.
No, we're good. He's done that already. What did you think of Joker?
I loved it.
Because that's similar to what we just talked about with hierarchies. Did you see Joker?
No, she didn't.
I was going to say, that would be bad parenting now, wouldn't it?
I did not show Olivia Joker.
So what are your thoughts on it? Because you said there's a lot to say about it and whatnot. I
loved it. I mean, I loved the way they dealt with, again, it's kind of a lot of what we're talking about, how what they did really well with that was, you've got two levels. You've got most of it's really his personal journey. I was going to say struggle or whatever you want to call it, but no, it's not that. It's his journey, his trying to make sense of the world. Because the Joker, of course, in terms of his birth, which this film tries to deal with, it's not really clear at the beginning whether he's a good or a bad guy. In a sense, he's a little bit what I was talking about earlier. He's what happens if you take somebody and push them far enough and ignore them long enough, and
And I didn't like the bit where Aladdin did go in.
Oh, you got the thing. Go. Which bit didn't you like, darling?
I didn't like the bit where Aladdin went in the blue monster.
You went
Yeah,
to
he
the
went-
Blue Monster.
Yeah, there's a bit where he gets made sent to the. He gets sent to the Arctic, doesn't he?
I
Yeah,
haven't seen
something
it.
like that.
I'll have to watch
No.
it. I haven't seen
Yeah.
it. I've only seen the original.
We've got it here. You can come and watch it here one day. So hold on, darling. So you've got this guy who's been, abused as a child, probably. Well, it's kind of explicitly states that his mum's slightly mental. He's in this very difficult position, very deprived, and he's trying to make sense. And just wants, one of the recurring phrases is, why can't people just be civil to each other? Why can't we just be nice to each other? That's his thing. That's all he ever wants. And of course, he gets rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected, and then thinks, well, hold on. The only rational explanation to all of this is he gets to a nothing means anything view, right? Let's just do whatever we like. Back down to, I think we had this conversation. If I just do whatever I want, then what difference does it make?
Okay now.
And then of course, I'm not sure. I mean, what go.
I think Batman and the Joker are the same character. They're just different ways that two men have dealt with it. So
Yes.
You look at the Joker had a traumatic upbringing, let's say, and so did Bruce Wayne because his parents got killed.
Yes.
So, and they both deal with injustice and corruption within a society in different ways. So the Joker goes to it by being, let's be chaotic and just burn everything. And Batman's like, no, let's make everything over-orderly and make everybody accountable. So they're literally diametrically opposed, if that's the right term, I'm not sure. But they're sort of like they're born out of the same idea, and they're two different ways in which a man can react. Both put on a mask, whether it's paint or whether it's as Olivia's like, yes. And they're both, and even when you look at the other characters like Bane and Two-Face, it's all very much to do with masks and stuff, and the way in which you're choosing to react to the perceived injustice that you see. So Batman says, oh, well, there's all this corruption going on, so I'm going to be more than the law because the law's broken. Well, the Joker's kind of saying the same thing.
Yes.
He's saying, well, it's all, there's no, all you criminals, even if you look at the Heath Ledger Joker or the new Joker or any in between, it's the character of the Joker. He burns all the money. It's like, there's a better criminal out there for everybody. He wants a better criminal, but I'm the people's criminal. So that they both go outside of the system to try and change it in different ways, but in the way that they believe, and they embody a different persona. They go through a hero's journey story in their own right. And so what I liked about the Joker is you can see the gradual decline, or I don't know if it's a decline, but gradual transformation from. So when he's sitting there on the couch next to Robert De Niro, you can say, "Oh, this guy's gone." But I understand why he's gone, but he's gone.
Yeah. Yes, darling.
Don't want to hear that.
Don't want to hear Doug. Okay, I'll do it then. That's fine. She doesn't want to hear you anymore. Sorry.
I don't blame her because I'm not talking about Aladdin. I'm talking about Batman.
She likes looking at you, but she doesn't want to listen to you. She's listening to Top Team 10.
So, I don't blame her. So, so that's the thing. And so Batman, I mean, you can't be in a kind of healthy state of mind to go out and dress up as a giant bat and stalk the Knights of Gotham on the rooftops. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
you're not in the right frame of mind.
Not if you're a billionaire. There's much better things you could be doing. But I mean, there's not. That's the thing, and that's his argument. But of course, he's not happy either, is he? So he's a pretty upset character. He's as angry. He's as angry about everything as the Joker is.
The world isn't the way that he would like it to be, so he's going out of his way to change it. What they're both saying is that I've been moulded by my experiences, and so now that my experiences have affected me, now I'm affecting my experiences. And
this is really lovely. And do you know why? And this is why we should, when we get flowing, it gets so much better. You were talking to me yesterday or the day before. I'm not sure. And I was going about my story and my upbringing and how that affected I think that affected me. But during our conversation, it became really apparent that other things that I've said to do with Adlerian kind of etiology, in the sense of they've gone too far with it all. Yeah, they're saying this is the experience. This is what, and now I'm going to inflict this on the world because I think that's the best way of it being, and it's just not true. Your experience in the past should not be what dictates what you do in the future.
Is that true? Do you know what I mean? You can play with this all day.
Well, that's the point. Well, I don't know, is it or isn't it true? But it could be either. Because here's the thing: if you're doing what's the best possible version in the moment, then really deciding what you're going to do in the future shouldn't really come into it. Really, or making a decision about how it should be. The second, like you say, the second you say it should be this,
yeah,
you're forcing yourself down a tube, and it might be the wrong one.
I think the should is the fundamental thing that creates all unnecessary suffering.
Yeah,
I think should. Whenever you find yourself saying should, you're probably suffering.
So I tagged you into that thing that Jordan Peterson had written, and it said, "Look, have an aim, but
dream it."
Absolutely. But where you suffer, and this is exactly should, is when I say I want to run the 100 meters final in the next Olympics, and somewhere along that journey, it becomes a signpost goes up that goes, actually, your goal isn't quite, it would be better. You've got to get feedback. You've got to respond to the feedback. And go, is that really my goal? Do I really want that? Is it actually something slightly different or completely different? Or when I tried to be that thing, I dreamed it.
No, but Paul, what you're not
do I then force myself into the should issue? I must carry on doing it now I've started it.
Yeah, here's what I think you're not getting. And the thing of the Peterson thing is that you're going to suffer anyway. So you might as well suffer in pursuit of something worth attaining.
Yeah, but what he's saying is that he's talking more about how you aim at a goal, and
that is a goal.
That needs to be flexible, though. It can't just be I'm going to win that and that's it, and I keep thrashing away. I should do this. I can do it. If it becomes completely obvious to me that I would be happier and better off doing something different.
It depends how you define a goal.
Okay.
Because is it a goal or a milestone? And also, is it important to reach the goal? Or is it who you become on? Or is it who you become on the journey? Because like I said, the end goal is that we all end up lost. It's game over. So
we're saying the same thing.
The idea is to play the best game you can play in the meantime. So to have a goal to enter the Olympics is a high goal. So anything that you fall short of will be better than if you say, I'm just going to get out of bed and walk down the street.
Yeah. We are essentially saying the same thing. Our language is limiting our communication, but I am saying what you're saying in a different way.
And that's why you should dream it and be it.
You can't be it necessarily.
Because
you can dream it, sure. You can aim at it, sure.
But by dreaming it, you're being it, because the brain doesn't distinguish between the two.
Well, that gets a bit philosophical as to whether being it is thinking you're it or actually being it.
Well, when you get it, it's never as good as what you think it is or what you imagined it to be anyway.
It comes down to the definition of be it then.
Because well, that's how you are in the moment. You can only ever be. Yeah, exactly.
In my head, I'm Batman.
You can't argue with that. He's Batman.
I'm Batman. Yeah. I believe it. I am it then. But the reality is I'm not Batman, right? I mean, in my head I can...
Yeah.
I mean...
So being... So this is interesting because this is better ways of being, and we're getting muddled up on the actual what is being.
Yeah. Okay, well, that needs working out. It's important to find out what being is then.
So, and you do have a problem with this dream it and be it, because I think that is, and I know you just picked this out, Cherry, just randomly, but I don't see anything wrong with it. And I know that you do, and we did finish the sentence, which I noticed, which was that dream it and can be it. So be careful about what you're dreaming about. And that also ties in with the Peterson thing of change the dream if necessary.
Yeah,
right?
which is all I'm saying. Yeah.
But when I saw you on social media the other day, on the Facebook thing or whatever, you were still saying, oh, dream it isn't right. But you weren't saying what the right way was, which is be careful about what you dream about. So even though we took that lesson, extracted that lesson out of that long podcast conversation, you still didn't apply it. You've still got a problem with dream it and can be it, as opposed to coming up with a solution to dream it can be it. If that makes sense. So you're not going forth with the message of the gold that you've harvested, saying that I've thought about this a lot, I've experienced this in my life, and I believe that it's important to dream it and be it, but be very careful about what you dream about because it can change. That's a better statement, but you're still not doing a positive. You're going on a negative, saying, "Oh, dream it can be isn't right. Or you can't just be anything you want to be." You're still with that narrative. Does that make?
Yeah.
Can you see how?
Yeah.
Can you see what the difference between the two?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're transitioning. This is a journey for you. I'm going on so many different journeys at the moment, every other day. And when you get into this stuff, you realise that you're just going on these journeys all the time. So
yeah,
I say this with complete humility. It's sort of like, once you encompass the positive aspect of all the problems that you've encountered, instead of just focusing on the problems, then you can harvest the wisdom and move forward with that and take it to the community. And that's something useful and of value. Whereas if you get stuck in, it's like me when I go on my social thing, like I've done today. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I say, oh, it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like that. Should. Well, go on then. Do what you're going to do about it. Yeah, it's crap. What are you going to do about it? No, sorry, I will go full. It's shit. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to bitch, whine, and complain. Oh, that's a good fucking plan, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
going to not swearing. So yeah, I was trying not to swear, but there's no other way I can really just hit the nail on the head.
I've got a beat meme. I've got a beat thing.
I don't want the beat.
No, we're swearing.
No,
they swear. Listen, they swear on Joe Rogan, so we're all good.
Yeah, fuck it. No, but
even Elon Musk does it.
Yeah, but I don't like to do it casually. I think there's better ways of being. But like, I really feel that in the sense that, yeah, this is how it is. Yeah, it's all crap. Yeah, we're flawed. Yeah, it's all down the pipe hole. Yeah, nothing will probably be the way you want it to. Blah blah blah. And we're all gonna end this game anyway. So what are you going to do about it? Given the fact that it's unfair, given the fact that there's inequality, given the fact that you're all oppressed and disadvantaged, and we've all got a story and blah blah blah, and the cat didn't purr up to me enough. My parents didn't do this. My grandparents didn't do that years ago. Somebody hurt a man, so therefore that's oppressed me as a man throughout the rest of history. I mean, what do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, what are you going to do about it? That's a good question. Yeah, you're right. What are you going to do about it? So I think that's that's part of the acceptance, I think. So the moment you let go of the should and accept it, and then you're in a better position to be able to move forward with something that's of value, because it requires transformation to turn that. Literally, I see negative experiences coming in, and your job is to turn it into a positive experience. Look at you moving around, going from A to B.
I'm playing with it now.
You dreamed that you could be in another room, and now you're being it. Right, so... but be careful what you wish for. Yeah, so... But be careful of what you wish for. It gets down to that old chestnut, isn't it? Batman. You just look...
Come on.
And I'm dark, lurking in the shadows, your new nemesis. No, but
Joker.
That is the thing, is that... that's the whole Aladdin story. That's... be careful what you wish for. And you are the master. You're the master of that thing. Do you know what I mean? So Jafar at the end. So it's so that's what I think, mate. I think that the moment you can let go of the should and the story of how you believe it should be, and how you should be, where you should be at, what other people, the way the world should be, and you can let go of that and accept the way that it is. Let go of the fantasy, accept the reality. Now you can create a fantasy based on reality instead of based on just denial of reality and just living in the fantasy. That makes sense. Yep. So you've got reality and fantasy. You've got red pill and blue pill. The only way you can get some sort of a blue pill future is by swallowing the red pill. The only way you can let go, the only way you can fully manifest the reality that you would like, or the way that you would like to be and engage and interact in the world, the way that you'd like things to be, is by first fully accepting and embracing the reality of the situation. Now you can dream. But if you just start from dreaming and you deny the reality and say it shouldn't be like this is wrong, I'm going to ignore that, and just suppress everything and just go with fantasy, then you're fucked. You've got to start with the base reality as a core.
So there's this paradox that so yeah, red pill, blue pill, fantasy. Just the way you think it is right now. Oh man, you were talking about snow.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
It's gone from here now, so it's literally moved up to you.
It's snowing outside. Olivia, come have a look. Look outside the window there.
Tell her it's from Doug.
Doug sent you some snow. There she is.
There's a magic trick which is called snow, and it is literally talking about the first time he saw snow, and he makes it snow. There you go. I've just done that. Ta-da! I'll take credit for it. Why not?
Listen, you might as well, dude.
I was just dreaming about snow as well, and it was just one.
She's excited because kids just love snow, right?
Go on then.
There's something cool there's something cool in that. I think out of all of this exposition, to use a really big word, of us feeling around and trying to make sense of what is, in the end, a massively, vastly complex set of ideas in some respects. I love this idea, this notion that the blue pill is the fantasy, or the world in which most of our virtual realities in our head live in right now.
The imagination, yeah.
The imagination is the blue pill. And essentially most of our realities are at least semi-imagined. Take the red pill truth, or how it really is, and that could include the fitness, or would include the fitness. So I guess we kind of need to draw a list up almost of red pill stuff, blue pill stuff. Does that make sense? And say, look, how do we separate these things out? How do I know which one's which? And can I, as you've just said, do I need to take the red pill to get the best out of both worlds? So for instance, you see Neo in the Matrix does exist in the imaginary world. He's just like Superman because he can fly, he can do what the fuck he likes in it. He goes in and out, he chooses. Right, I'm in the shit, I'm in the real world.
But he can't see it in the same way. He can't believe the story once you don't believe it anymore. You can't go back to blue pill. Sounds like an Amy Winehouse song. Back to blue pill.
Yeah.
You can't go back there because you can't see it in the same way because your belief's been destroyed about it by a superior belief.
Yes, but you can still play in that world.
But you can play in a godlike fashion. In
a different way. You can play.
Yeah, different's better than God.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Neo because he can fly. He can break the laws. He can be
bullets, right?
He can be supernatural. Physics. Yeah. I meant it in the frame of Matrix, not in reality. Yeah.
Yeah, not in God as in God, but God as in supernatural.
Yeah, in the film, he was godlike in the sense that he could do things in the reality that mere mortals couldn't do.
Yeah, he could,
because he realised it was a computer program. Yeah.
Yeah, and he can manipulate that. Because he was aware of it.
But you see, sorry, mate, going back to that whole Matrix thing is a way in which they let the public know what's really out there. So I know it sounds a bit conspiracy theory, but it's really not. It's a conscious, because if you remember Agent Smith, well, he was a conscious agent. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
And the other thing that's really a lovely parallel, now we're rolling, is the idea that actually when he goes back in, it's all up here. He's not actually in that world at any time. It is a computer program. It's only him lying on his bed with the thing in his neck, interfaced back in. He's not physically going anywhere. It's all here. So there's that, back to that VR I'm talking about, in your head. When Neo is in the Matrix, he's not physically in the Matrix at all. That's why he can do what he likes, because he's not physically actually ever there. He's plugged in. His physical presence, body, is connected plugged in, and then what he imagines becomes a reality. That's a bit like my VR, my set of how the world is my imagined version. But we could point at pretty much anything and have a slightly different take on it. Me and you, let alone the other 7.59 whatever billion people in the world. So we're all creating from here and looking out here. What I'm seeing is different to what Olivia's seeing, what you're seeing. That although there is a physical world there, and what is happening is a reality, perhaps, let's say for sake of argument, it is, my interpretation of it still only ever exists here.
Yes, so everything that you can perceive now is a story.
Yes.
So, because let's say there is an objective truth. Well, we can't see it because that would make us extinct. We can only see the interface of a human software story. So we can't see radio waves, for example. We can't do this, we can't do that, because we're having a human experience. That's the interface, that's the desktop, that's the software. The hardware is in the computer, which is why we can only ever interact with the software and the icons on the desktop. So you're an icon, I'm an icon. Even when I look in my own brain, you keep referring to it here because that's where you feel you are. That's still just an icon of Paul.
Yep.
So everything, we're creating our own reality. And that sounds very woo-woo, but essentially that's what's happening. It's happening when we're dreaming. We're creating a reality and we're perceiving it at exactly the same bit rate at the same time. And we do it when we wake up. We're just exchanging one reality for another. The dream state is where we integrate this reality over here. And I believe it's the bit, and why we have to have sleep. We can't go without it, else we go crazy kind of a thing.
Well, our physical bodies need it.
Yeah, it's, again, the physical body is just an icon. It's the consciousness needs to have a break.
Yeah,
because it can't process the information, because there's order, which is being consciously aware, and there's the chaos when you're unconscious. That's why when your life descends into chaos, you're unconscious, and that whole life is but a dream thing. It all kind of ties in. So your consciousness goes through various different waves, let's say beta waves and all that kind of stuff. So there's a certain
delta, theta.
Yeah, the moment when I close my eyes.
Beta.
Yeah, when I'm closing my eyes, that I stop processing the world. When I open my eyes, I'm creating everything that I see. I'm creating all the colours, the movements, everything. And that's amazing. And it's a really deep concept to understand. And it sounds very selfish and solipsistic, but it's very beautiful in a way, because that's all you ever have is your own experience of living. That consciousness is fundamental. Now I'm taking a leap to say that you have consciousness too. You could really not be here, but I'm gonna assert that you are, because again, like in the Matrix, the conscious agents try and get him. And that's what happens when you take away agency. If I treat you like you're not a human being, you don't like me very much. That's the Jordan Peterson thing again, because you do have agency, and you'll attack me if I don't treat you as if you're an autonomous human being as well. Do you know what I mean? Because everybody has a right to exist as a conscious agent. And that's where things like killing people is wrong, because you're taking away the consciousness from somebody else. Like I could go on and on about this, but it's a very deep thing. But once you let go of the fact that you can't actually see truth, you can only ever see fitness functions based on your perceptions as a conscious agent. It just really shifts everything.
That's it.
Because when you go out and manifest things in the world, you're not doing it from a place of deficiency. You're doing it from a place of abundance, but you're just doing it to play around and see what we can create better.
Okay. So let's suppose.
Thank you for listening to me, by the way. That was quite, let me.
I love listening to you.
Oh, mate. I love listening to you too.
Hold on.
No, don't go low kissing there.
Oh no, that's it. I want a heart. There's no heart. I'm going to applaud you. There you go.
Yeah, well, I think you have to pay extra for that. Yeah.
Do you? Probably.
Yeah, let me give you some love back. There you go. Look at that.
There you go. Anyway, no. Well, of course, that's my thing these days. Is thinking environment, is listening. Because so what I was going to say though, after hearing all of that lovely stuff, is this. this is all great. So what we're trying to not explain because we don't know, what we're trying to hypothesize is how, and here's how we need to start drawing a map. Okay, so let's say this is how it is then. There's this red pill and there's this blue pill situation. And it does seem, on face value, as if a lot of people are struggle with the red pill situation because it does require you to take a leap of faith to a degree, but certainly it requires you to accept a chaos into your life that is you're afraid of.
You have to let go of fantasy.
Yeah, but people don't choose it. A bit like the guy that goes, say, I don't care. You wipe my memory. This steak tastes great, even if it's not real. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
That's where it seems that most people would prefer to be.
Ignorance is bliss, yeah.
Ignorance is bliss, right? And that could be either a choice, or like he makes a choice. Nah, I don't want to know. La, 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 la. You see a lot of that because there's a lot of very intelligent people out there, but there's a lot of fear too. So I think there's different levels. I think there are people that really just can't see it for whatever reason. And we'll not get into that. There are people like who do the la, la, la thing, which is probably quite a large majority of people. And then there are people that go, no, suck it up. Here, give me that red pill, man. Let's go. Although I would say for me, that took a long time. And I'm not quite there. I'm digesting it as we speak.
It's hard to digest. A lot of people, I'm still choking on the red pill. I've swallowed it, but I've still got a sore throat.
Yeah. So, does it? Do you want to come and see it over here again? Oh, there we go. That bit really hurts. So yeah, I think that's but then that's so that's the landscape then. Okay, that's the landscape within which you need to present. Okay, well, you're saying to me you're seeking a better way of being. How then do I have a better way of being within that landscape? And I love the beauty of Olivia being here today. There's a significance to it because she is in the moment, period, 24/7, 7 days a week. And you're getting a song there, dude.
What song is that?
What song is it, darling? She's making it up. She's writing a song. So you're writing a song as you go, aren't you? Should we do the poo-poo song? Poo-poo, poo-poo.
Yeah.
Everybody's gotta go poo-poo, 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 all day long. Don't be afraid of the big white bowl with the water at the bottom, and the bottom there's a hole. And then something else says, all the water goes round and round, and all the poo-poo, it goes down. Poo-poo, poo-poo. Drop the bass. Everybody wants to go poo-poo, poo-poo. We play it on Alexa quite a bit. The poo-poo.
Everybody wants to go poo-poo.
All day long. And what does Daddy say? Hey, let's do this. What do we do? We do this as well, Olivia.
Just start mooning.
Guess what?
I poo you.
Guess what else?
I mean,
Guess what else?
I love you.
Yeah!
Oh.
We get there in the end. Oh, you monkey. Right. She's just blagged herself a right day off school. She has. She's nothing wrong with her. But it's very much snowing, darling. Do you want to sit up here, sweet?
We only had a little tinkle of it. We didn't have much of it.
It's caning it down here.
Oh, you're lucky if you like that thing.
Well,
That's pretty.
So yeah. By the way, I'm really consciously aware of what all that's going to mean.
How do you mean? Sorry, mate.
Well, obviously, I'm getting in love with the little one, and I'm aware of what that might bring up.
No, it's my eye. I've got an itchy eye.
Yeah.
It's this
I
one.
believe it.
Yeah, it's really itching. This one's fine. It's just this one. Look,
Yeah.
I've always had problems with my eyes since I was young. My dad always used to have a go at me about it. It's like, you always playing about with your eyes. I always feel like I've got eyelashes in there or something. It's
Yeah.
overwhelmingly itchy. I don't know if it's I'm dehydrated or whatnot, or if there's dust in the room or whatever it is.
No, not sure. No,
Anyways,
it's gone.
Anyway,
so
where are we at?
Don't know, I'm trying to get my camera in focus.
Okay, well, you're doing that. I'll try and figure out what there is to talk about. So we've touched on.
No,
go on then.
I was getting somewhere when Olivia walked in. And
Okay.
my camera's just like not focusing. Okay, it's just got to be blurry for a bit. That's so annoying. No.
Do you need to wipe it?
No, it's not a very good camera. It seems to just go blurry and the focus goes out, and then it's hard to kind of fall it back. Usually if you do something like that, there you go. It might go back. Anyway, look. So what we're saying is we've set a landscape up. We've set a baseline almost of what the reality is we're dealing with here. That's what we need to do first off. Let's set a baseline or a hypothetical baseline, because we can't ever really know, of course, for the case as to why you should listen to what you and I have to say about a better way of being. In other words, and this comes back down to my motivational quotes issue. It's all very well to say, you know, I don't know, go run and dance and it's all great. Well, yeah, but I still feel miserable. Why? You know, it's like you need there needs to be some level of structure to build. This, I am talking about my own.
Daddy,
Yes, darling?
it's nearly Christmas.
It's nearly Christmas. Well, it's not quite, darling, but we'll talk about that later. What am I going to say? Distracted slightly with why it'd be easy. Where was I, Doug?
You were saying about having some sort of you didn't say this, but you were alluding to a template of sort of like, or a map or something, some groundwork.
A baseline, yeah.
Baseline. Oh, being a musician, of course it was a baseline.
Fall in the neck, man. Look, there's this. If I feel discontent, you know, what I've been trying to do is find something I can do in the world, or be in a way I can be in the world that doesn't make me feel inadequate, useless, that everything's pointless and worthless and yada yada yada. Now, a lot of that, I guess, if you live in a world where it's completely materialistic and you've got your blinkers right on and that, you just go, no, I've got all my stuff, I've got my car, my house, blah blah blah, I'm sorted, job done, right? But I have got far enough that I've recognised that those things aren't enough for me. Okay. But so hear me out here. So my huge amounts of discontentment, and Eckhart talks about this, my huge amounts of discontentment, and well, it's all pointless and it gets narcissistic and blah 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 blah, is because I've got rid of the attachment to the material stuff, and that's got an important role in my life to go be a millionaire and get all those things, but I've not fully embraced or replaced it with something else. I'm in limbo. How does that sound?
So those things that you said, what do you say? Worthless, discontent. What else?
Any of those. Yeah, just a feeling of pointlessness, narcissistic tendencies, if you like.
Pointless, narcissistic.
What's the point in anything? What's the point in doing really anything? Especially given that. Now, what Jordan would say as well, seems as it's all that useless and you're that useless and you're going to die anyway, you might as well try and do something well, even though, as you say, with your aim, just aim up here because, it is going to end in the toilet for everybody, right?
That's why you can...
Yeah, so you might as well end in the toilet, but at least have something of a good time on the way.
Yeah, because then you can assume that all those things are true. You can assume that it's pointless and worthless and, whatever it is, what's the point kind of thing. So there's nothing to fear then.
Yeah, so you don't have to...
So you can move forward fearlessly.
It cancels itself out.
Because if you're going to lose everything anyway, then it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So
it's
might
quite
as well...
optimistic, really.
Well, exactly.
So this is what I don't like is when people say, you got to be positive. If pessimism gets the job done, be pessimistic. Well,
look, here's the thing, right, though.
Sorry, like positive pessimist or something.
Yeah, well, the problem with this, of course, is that if it's all going to end anyway, blah, 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 you're into Joker land of, well, I can just do what I like, burn the money, blow everything up, kill people, doesn't matter. And there's some argument to say, yeah, okay, but then what about this going back, and this is where it gets multifaceted, to this layer of consciousness that we're all connecting on, that I want to care for you. And that it's in our best interest not to go around killing each other. So we all start doing that within 6 hours, if everybody decided right now to go out and kill 6 people or 10 people or whatever, everybody would be dead by tomorrow morning. Right?
Why would you need to kill anyone?
Because we're saying I'm using it as an extreme example. If it is like,
yeah, so I'm saying why? Yeah, why?
Well, why not? I don't like these 3 people. They fucked me over. I'll go kill them now. Everybody's got somebody that's fucked them over. If everybody goes and kills another person, how long is it going to be before everybody's dead? How long would that take if everybody really just acted on impulse of that person's done me over, I'm going to anything.
Okay, here's another way of looking at it. So
I'm saying, why doesn't that happen?
Yeah, I'm trying to think
it doesn't.
of the words to use. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the words to use to express what I want to say. It's very difficult because it's a very particular point, and this is a point where the words are important to articulate the thinking properly.
Take time. I'm going to go for a wee.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Olivia may come and talk to you. I don't know.
That's fine.
I'm actually still here on audio, by the way.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to listen to you pee. It's like a ghost. It's like I'm chatting to a ghost. There is an idea of Paul.
I'm weeing down the side of the toilet, so it doesn't make that noise.
There's a man in the room. What's his name? Paul. Can you hear him? Is he here now? Well, he's in the toilet at the moment, but I can hear him. You're crazy.
Yeah. You're crazy. But you're not, right?
Yeah. Have you seen American Psycho?
Long time ago.
There's an idea of Paul. But I'm not really there.
Oh, that's a great film. I love the In the Air Tonight scene. Brilliant. Yes, darling? It's really snowing, Monkey. Do you want to come up? Oh, she's going, Doug. For some bizarre reason, she really likes you, Doug.
Well, she does. A lot of kids do.
Yeah.
And she is awesome as well. So awesomeness recognises awesomeness.
That's true.
Mummy,
Is
she back?
No, she's not back.
No.
Some more Chris, darling? Yeah. It's quite entertaining chatting to Doug, isn't it? Making it a day.
Yeah, I'm honestly just looking at Theosaurus trying to come up with the word. It's just this literally one word that I'm struggling with.
God, it's really snowing, isn't it, darling?
Daddy,
Yes, darling.
we can't go to school now.
No, we can't. We're just going to spunk off anyway, darling. Don't worry. You're not going back to school. It's nice having you in the house. Could do with doing your toenails, eh?
Yeah, I can't find this word, so if I can, I'll interject later on because we can't waste time like this. Yeah, so why not just destroy everything? Because that's the nihilistic argument.
No, look. What I'm saying isn't that. I'm saying why don't we? Why doesn't it happen?
That's what I'm saying. Why don't we just destroy each other if nothing matters?
Yeah. Well, but and I guess what I'm saying is, given how often people have the impulse to do that but don't, why not?
Because of consciousnness.
Okay. So there's a stream somewhere, but why does that consciousness stop us doing that? What's the value?
There's so many things we've touched upon here, and I know this is going back to the Joker film that while we're talking about all this, and the Matrix we're using as an analogy. I think here's one thing. I think seriousness is a problem. I think it's the poison that courses through the veins a little bit. Or solemnity, maybe. I don't know what the right word is, because John Cleese said that a little while back, like you can be serious without being solemn, which is why you can make a joke out of serious topics.
Yeah.
It's a way of, it's just, yeah, it's like a lubrication. It's a way of kind of taking in it's what jokes do, is it kind of reveals a truth but in a playful way so that you can take it with less force. And that's why a lot of the times people say, oh, I was only joking afterwards, when they really weren't. They meant it, but they're just trying to create some sort of a joke around it, when a joke has a beginning, a middle, and end, because it's like a little mini story. Whereas they would just come out bluntly and said it with no structure. But
yeah,
it's a good scapegoat. But I think, like with South Park, one of the things, and we spoke about this the other day as well with South Park and voices. You know, if you're going to represent a voice, make it a funny one so you can't take it seriously. Because I think the seriousness, once you realise that, oh, it's just a game, it's just nothing matters. It can be like, because if it does matter, because look, what do you get out of feeling pointless? What do you get out of feeling worthless? What, like, as a victim there, what do you get as a reward? You must be getting something, because you wouldn't act out the behaviour and keep the belief. You must.
And I can tell you,
if you were standing on hot coals, you'd get off the hot coals because it's uncomfortable. But if you're getting something out of it, you'll stay there. Oh no, I can't because I'm narcissistic.
I'll tell you exactly. I can answer that question straight off the bat. No problem.
You sound like you got an answer lined up.
Oh no, it's not lined up, but it's just come to me. But so what do I get out of it? I get, and this is Jordan through and through, and he'd just be going, yeah, man, you're on it, man. You're tidy. Now go and tidy your room. Right, but what he would say is, what I'm saying is what do I get out of it? And this is requiring me to be very honest and expose weaknesses. What I get out of it is I could be a victim, and if I'm a victim, I don't.
Sorry, but you don't have to say this by yourself, because this is what a lot of people think. So we could just speak in general if you don't want to take it personally.
No, I'm not taking it personally, but I'm using myself and saying it for me because it gives it more power and weight. If I say this is exactly how I feel and what's happened to me. Yes, darling.
That bit really hurt.
Well, should we just chop it off? No. All right. Let's give it a rub then instead. I'll say just leave it. Just carry on with your crisp. So no. Focus. What I was going to say was, I'm not drunk, honestly. It'll come around in a minute. Look,
it should be focused. The mic should be better. The technical aspect should be correct and professional.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Okay, there it goes. Oh, easy. Okay, What do I get out of it was the question. We'll have to edit that bit. No, leave it in. It's funny. What do I get out of it? What do I get out of feeling that I'm stupid, feeling that I'm
worthless,
worthless,
all that
everything's
victimization.
shit? Yeah. Well, I get to be a victim, which means it's not my fault, which means I don't have to do anything about it, which means I can just sit, wallow in my big pile of poo, going, oh, yes, this and that and the other, boo, hoo, 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 right? Well, no, I'm being, you know, pretty harsh, but this is towards me. That's what I'm doing. I'm wallowing in it. It gives me the right not to have to deal with it because I'm a victim. And that is a get out of jail free card. I'm talking specifically from my perspective, but I really think this actually applies to an awful lot of people.
I want to argue with that. Is that okay?
Okay, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
I think there's a better way of looking at it, a better way of being, or a better perception to look at it from. I think that like the conversation that we're having now isn't a normal conversation. We're doing this through the internet. It's not one-on-one. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like it's a very new age way of doing things, or new technology way of doing things. And that's how it seems to be that all interactions are happening. Like it's via Facebook or Tinder for relationships, or attention. You've got Instagram and all these, even WhatsApp and all those other, and they're great technologies. They're fantastic. But they're sort of like there's a digitalization of a relationship in between, and it's like the blurring. It doesn't quite satisfy, and these things that we look for and get infatuated to satisfy these internal desires of. You just don't get any satisfaction. You don't get any fulfillment out of them, and I think that. By feeling pointless, worthless, discontent, blah, 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 I think you're starved in a particular area, like human beings are, from a soul perspective, from a kind of, what's the best way of putting this? Like, we need nutrition. We need good conversation. We need to know that we're a part of something greater than ourselves. We need to know our place. And I think at the moment, what they've done through political ideology and various other things is destroy people's roles and their place and not allow them to play the game, because they've said that, oh, the game's skewed because, you know, everyone's oppressed or whatnot. I'm going a roundabout way of saying this, but connection is really what people want. And so by getting that, you're saying, I need connection. That's what I'm saying. Like in the same way, if you were thirsty, you get dehydrated, you're like, oh, something's not quite right. Now, if you were to go out and start exercising, that won't satisfy that. Oh, I need Coca-Cola. Well, that's going to make you even more thirsty. I need seawater. That'll make you even more thirsty. You need good water to rehydrate yourself, because that's what your body needs. That's what it's telling you that it needs. That's what it's giving you, that feeling and emotion. So I don't necessarily think it's because you're a victim while you're thirsty. I think it's just your body calling out saying, look, I need nourishment here. I need food, I need hydration, I need socialization. And I think socialization and our place in the social game has been destroyed. And for a lot of people, not just men and women and people that are oppressed and or from specific countries, I think the richness of the interaction.
I'm looking for Mummy.
So, Karen,
I think the richness of the interactions has been decimated, and we're all starving.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's been an increase in mental health. All that crap, I hate it. It's like if you've got somebody and they're hydrated, they're breathing okay, they feel a sense of community, they're eating, they've got a roof over. If you satisfy all these things, and you give them a purpose, they're in a really, like the Maslow's hierarchy thingamajig, they're in a really good place. And it's only believing negative stories that would make them think differently.
Yeah.
Here she is. And so I think, whereas if you haven't slept right, if you haven't eaten something, if you have an allergy to something, if you have a medical problem, if you have, I don't know, if you have a bad, if you've got a stone in your shoe, it doesn't matter. It's like that discontent that flows through you isn't you, it's your circumstances affecting you. And this is your response to it. And I don't think the natural response to it, where you have those thoughts and feelings that are shared by so many people, is just a coincidence. I think it's a downstream problem, a systemic problem that we're all sharing. Like if somebody catches a cold, you catch a cold, I catch a cold. It's not personal. It's not because I created the cold. It's not because I'm a bad person. Do you know what I mean? It's just a cold was going around. And this is an infection of thought. And everyone's infected with the same way of thinking. Oh, we're all suffering from mental health issues. No, we're not. There's better ways. Right. If we're all doing it, we can all empathise with each other better and get together and have a piss up and a laugh and a conversation and get round in the old sing song. That might cheer us up a little bit. No, we can't because people. Like, so it's. I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well, but
it's beautiful. I'm loving it. Keep going. I'm not
going against you and what you mentioned about Peterson saying, yeah, you do get that comfort bubble, like, oh, I don't have to leave my bed, I can just be a victim kind of feeling, like, oh, I don't have to go to work today because I don't have to do anything because I'm so special and I can just lay here as a victim and not have to do anything and just moan and bitch and complain everything and go back to unconsciousness. Because the alternative is, oh crap, I'll have to get up, it's cold, I'd have to go outside. You'd have to do something, you'd have to accept responsibility, and then you'd have to let go of your victimization, you have to let go of that story. So at one point you've got to decide, what do you want? Do you want to maintain that unhelpful story, or do you want to come up with a better story? Acknowledging this one, but also encompasses and takes care of and finds solutions to those problems. So I don't want to get out of bed. Well, what would make me get out of bed? And it asks better questions and comes up with a better story instead of sticking with the one that's broken and repeating it over and over again instead of looking for a way out. But you can understand why people don't look for a way out, because it's comfortable being where they're at. So, but they want to moan that they don't like where they're at, but they don't want to discover new territory by venturing out. And I think it's brave when people do, and they explore new territory. And so going back to all this pointless, worthless thing, there are no new thoughts. They're just thoughts that are spread around. It's not unique to you. It's not got nothing to do with you. In the same way that the dust on your shoulders got nothing to do with you. It's just a thought. You can just brush it off. It's not real. It's not true. Do you know what I mean? But everyone's like, oh, and so the belief, the certainty, the seriousness that this thought is true is the poison. And if we just get rid of that seriousness, get rid of that certainty that the belief is true, and extract the poison, and it takes away the weight from the thought. So the thought is just a thought, it can just flutter away. We're holding the thought down with, this is true. The moment you say, oh, it's not true, you've got to let it go. Well, I need another thought to latch onto. So you need to not just destroy the unhelpful belief system you have, you need something else to redirect it to, so that when you go to do something, you have to latch onto a better thought. So let go, inflate the balloon that's sort of like unhelpful, and inflate a better way of being, inflate a better story.
Hold on a minute.
I rant over with because my tongue's worn out.
Look.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's something I've never really heard.
Let go of one branch, but you've got to get hold of another one. Because this branch is going to give way. If you keep hold of this branch, this unhelpful story, it's going to break, it's going to snap. So you need to grab hold of another branch that's more secure, that will help you survive your fitness. Boom. I'm going to shut up now because I'm going to put this up. This is my shutting up pose.
No, I don't like that shutting up pose because you look like a criminal. I mean, you look like a criminal anyway.
I was going to say, criminal, insane criminal.
Yeah.
Sorry, your thoughts.
There's little shoes. So that's, I'm going to use the word beautiful thinking. Really is. Because I was thinking about or explaining it on a level, but within the story. In other words, I feel all those things, useless, inadequate, about whatever I said. Can't even remember, so they can't be that important.
Oh, work being a victim.
It's really hard work. Somebody get my notes.
I was going to be lazy and procrastinate, but I just couldn't be asked.
Get my book of reasons that I'm worthless, please, somebody. I'm just going to get my power pack as well because I'm worried that this might die. So I'm just going to do that at the same time as talking to you. I'm still on audio. So look, I think what you've done there is latch onto a really good idea an excellent idea, in the sense that so on one level, what I've said is true. You know, the reason that story of being a victim and being useless and that is a comfortable place to be is because I don't have to grab on to that next branch. I can keep clinging on to dear life to this one that eventually is going to break, which is when it all goes. Which is another nice analogy. If that branch I'm hanging on to, that story, sooner or later it does break and severe clinical depression or whatever is going to take over. Or I'm just going to lie in bed miserably wallowing in self-pity or whatever. But as you say, quite rightly so,
but can I just?
I love the idea of this infection. I love the idea of the fact that it's like a cold, and that it's not really this victim story is like a virus, perhaps.
Yeah, it's not unique to you. Everyone feels lonely. Everyone feels depressed. Everyone doesn't feel good enough. So everyone feels worthless, or at least a majority of people do, to warrant saying everybody is a generalization.
Yes, of course.
At some stage in their life, when certain things happen to them, when they catch that thought and believe it with that certainty. You see, I could think I'm worthless. You see, let's take the thought I'm not good enough. That's a standard, typical. I used to believe that all the time when I was younger. I don't believe it now. And in the areas that I do believe it, it's not in a case of, oh, I'm not good enough. It's more a case of, oh, I'm probably not good enough for that. It's just more kind of a practical thing. But I could be if I wanted to be, because I can do it in bed. But like, or maybe I couldn't. Oh, okay, well, I need to then network with somebody that could. It's more of a practical way forward. It's sort of like, instead of just hanging around on the one branch, you're swinging through the trees, letting go of one branch, grabbing hold of the other. That's when you're in flow state, when things are taken off and going away. You're swinging through the trees, holding on to the branches, not grabbing on one branch and saying, yeah, I'm safe up here. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm safe. I'm just hanging on this branch. It's going to give way any minute. But when you're Tarzan swinging through the trees, you don't give a shit. You just sort of like, you got to be courageous. You got to be stronger than you are weak.
You need to be the king of the swingers.
That's exactly, Dog and Doug. That's exactly what you need to be.
I'm the king of the swingers, the jungle VIP. I reached the top. I'm not gonna, whatever it is, right? But listen, I'm not even joking. That's what you're saying, and it makes sense. But what it does require, and again, this is the analogy.
Bare necessities.
Look for the bare necessities.
That was Phil Harris.
Bare necessities.
Do you know who that was? The voice.
No, I don't.
Phil Harris.
No.
He also sang the song "He's His Own Grandpa."
Yeah?
It's a great song. I can sing it. I know it off by heart. I can sing it.
No, you're all right.
No, don't worry. I won't burn you with it. But sorry, you were saying, so swinging through the trees, the king of the swingers.
Look. But here's the thing about then if we're saying I'm a jungle VIP and I'm Tarzan, because that's the avatar I need to feel successful, right? I need to and here's the thing, there's still this central focus of kind of aligning what you're saying with what I've said, although I'm that's changing as I'm processing what we were talking about. My victim story, I'm all this, I'm that, I'm the other. So it's no point me bothering doing anything because I'm just useless. Allows me to just keep hanging on and not take the courage to, because at the end of the day, if I'm going to swing for that next branch, I have to reach for it. I have to dream it, and I can be it. I have to run for it, right? I have to aim.
But you
for
don't
it.
like that.
No. But you've always got me wrong on that. I've never said I don't like it. I don't like it in its most literal form. I don't like it in
literally,
a
that's
way.
the word I was looking for. Yeah, literally, yeah.
Yeah. I don't. No. Let's just put that to bed so we don't have to ever talk about it again. I love it.
I'm sure you'll bring it up.
I love it, but with the caveat that the way it's. What I don't like is the way it's frequently misinterpreted.
By whom?
By people on.
You're thinking for the people again.
That's okay, because people do it. You see people doing it.
No,
right?
don't worry about thinking for the people. It's how it's interpreted by you is what's important, because that's all you're in control of.
Okay, well I can drop it then. But the point is, what I'm trying to say is that I think it causes a lot of damage to people that
What
go,
if you're
I
wrong?
can dream. Well, I'm not though. That's the thing. Look at X Factor, all the wounded.
There it is. I'm not wrong.
But there's
What if
plenty
you
of people
are?
out
What
there
if
that
you?
are
What if?
wounded.
Maybe that's true. Maybe it isn't. What does it matter? You know it's. You know that that's not what it means. Maybe other people are intelligent as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they can just
Oh,
go.
no.
Oh, that seems good. Yeah. It's probably some truth to it, I suppose. Keep scrolling. They don't give a shit.
Yeah. All right. Look, we could get lost in that.
No, but you're the one that had a problem with it. You're the one that brought it up. You're the one that introduced
Yeah,
this originally.
But my problem
And until you
is
love this phrase, I'm never going to end with it.
look, my concern from a different place. Remember, what you have to remember is we're all growing during this process. That's the whole point, right? We're all changing our minds, and I'm quite happy to change my mind on it.
Oh, cool.
I am, but I'm not saying I am changing my mind. I'm still saying that I think it damages a lot of people. But we're going to have to agree to disagree on that for the time being.
That's the social justice warrior approach. I'm doing it out of kindness because I'm caring about what other people think about. You're not. Who? What, Dave down the street? You really care about Dave? You think it's hurting Dave to think that if he had a dream and followed it, he'd be worse off? That he's not educated enough or as intelligent as you to know that if he reads that isn't applicable to everything. He can't just go out and run the 100 meters. He doesn't know that because he hasn't got your intelligence, because you're thinking for him and other people aren't as fucking clever as you are. It's ridiculous, but it's the ego, and we all do it. And I do it all the time. And what I'm saying is, what if it's not true? What if it's just that your perception is the only thing that matters? And you know that you can't just go and be anything that you want to be, the issues. But the intent of that message is to help inspire a little bit, to help encourage. It's not to give you false expectations. People that read that, people being me, because that's where it's coming from. I create the other people in my mind. Know that that's not true. Do you know what I mean? It's like, when you're thinking, when you think for other people, and I'm not again talking about you, I'm talking about everybody. When we think for other people, we're letting go of responsibility. We're going in, taking the authority, and letting go of the responsibility. I'm going to come in, say what they should be doing, what they should be thinking, and go away because it's got nothing to do with me. That's what you do when you think for other people. That's what we do. Sorry, that's what we do when we think for other people. And and if you let go of that thinking for other people, you let go of so many problems. Because I went through it.
No, and you are right. I do get it, what you're saying. But there is a decompression required. But no, it's not. You're right. I mean,
here's a better way of framing
really
it. You don't like that, dream it and can be it, because it's not true for you.
Yeah.
Because that's where you can go from.
Yeah, no, I mean it's you know.
I don't know what it means, but
I don't know what it means either, but I'm doing it because it just seems appropriate.
But this is what I'm saying, like with the thoughts going around and it being like you attach seriousness to it. It's literally, they're like colds. I'm not good enough, let's say. That floats around. And then, oh, I'm not good enough. And then it lands on somebody and says, you're not good enough. Oh, I'm not good enough. It's kind of like a hypnosis. It's sort of like, but once you realise that, oh, this is bullshit, isn't it? Yeah, of course I can do it. I've been doing it for ages. Oh, I don't need that. Just let go of it. You just let go of it like that. That's that. The grabbing onto it is the seriousness. That's the playfulness. The playfulness is just going like this. Oh, look at this. I'm playing around with matter. Like a cat with a ball thing, kind of thing. This is what kids do.
Yeah.
They're just playing around with ideas and thoughts, not latching on to any one of them.
Or tea bags, even.
Tea bags, even. Tetley tea bags, monkeys.
Yeah. Olivia's currently counting. These are not just any old tea bag, Doug. These are, what are they?
I don't care about the tea bags, Paul. What I care about is
Yorkshire tea.
Dream it and you can be it. Do you love it yet? Have I sold you on it? Or you still, no? what are your thoughts at the moment? Because this is how a lot of this started, is it came in with like, oh, here's one thing I don't like. And I know you don't like it. You really don't like it. If I can take that away from you, or if I can help you find a way of taking it away from yourself, then that's a little minor improvement. But why keep that negative connotation to something so positive?
No, absolutely. I get it.
If you piss on the positive, what else are we going to do? If you can dream it and you can be it, you're really going to piss on that? What? And Santa ain't real, is it? Like, what? Talk about red pilling. Yeah, that's red pill when you find out Santa ain't real.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good job she can't hear you.
It was blue pill.
Why?
Sorry,
because he just said that.
Go on, lie.
Daddy's
lie.
No, I'm not going to
go
that.
with it. No, because of stories.
I could.
I'm sorry. I've been showing off.
But I'm not going down that road today. At least from the point of view of talking about that with a 5-year-old.
In the house.
In the house, Doug. 5-year-old in the house. Who, incidentally, said the other day, because she hears, we all live together in a house, and grown-ups are grown-ups, and sometimes they do swear even if they shouldn't. Perhaps. Although I've got a bit of a twisted version of that. And the other day, I think it was yesterday, Amy dropped something, went, oh, damn, and Olivia was standing there, and you'd just soaked this up. She goes, Mummy, isn't that a fuck it moment? And we were going, yeah. But it was just that when you hear a 5-year-old say it, it's just so cute.
They get it.
It really is. Hey?
They get it.
They get it, yeah. It's like, she's not stupid. She's going, that's what you're really going to say. That's what you wanted to say. You just didn't say it because I was here. But I'm just saying to you, it's okay. I get it.
But that's what because you didn't expect her to say that, did you?
No.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's where magic comes in. And music as well. It's sort of like, it does what you least expect. It's a pleasant surprise.
I love that Marlon Brando thing about, he's talking about his acting, and he said that's what he's saying. He's saying, do it in your own time. Do what they're least expecting you to do. That Marlon Brando thing, I watched it about 3 times now. But
already?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I'm glad you enjoyed it so much.
I really do. It's stunning because he's just got some lovely. He's thinking and talking how we're thinking and talking. He was taking the world apart in this way, talking to himself really.
Yes, but that's all we ever do.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But anyway, let's go back to.
I feel like I've attacked you. You need to attack me now.
No, I don't. I'm not like that. I don't need to attack you. You've not attacked me anyway.
No, I didn't intend to, but I feel as though I've been a bit ferocious.
It's fine. I'm a big boy.
But it wasn't at you. It was at the belief.
Yes, and you're right. And what you're saying, if the logical conclusion of don't think for other people is exactly what you're saying.
That's what I'm like with the feminists as well. Like, I try and spear it out of them, like a fish. like, let's get that, and the fish is flopping around. I got at the end of a spear, and that's why they don't like me, because I'm very, and they're like, "Oh, you're so manipulative." I'm not. I'm very particular. Like, when I see something that I just think, if we just get rid of that, that would be fine. Do you know what I mean?
And listen,
I might be wrong.
You could be wrong, but I think it's a perspective issue, isn't it? In a sense. Well, it's not, but here's the thing: if you are talking about it from the point of view of what business is it of mine to interpret how somebody else might read that? When the answer, I'm caught. I'm out. You've got me. I don't have any right, and I can't know how anybody else is reading or interpreting that. And therefore, It's none of my business.
And it's not to prove anyone wrong. What it's to do is to identify where suffering is occurring, and to, like I say, spear it out so that it gets to the root of the problem. Because you think, oh, the government are this, the parents are this, the schools that, whatever it is, and you're like, but really, all of it stems from thinking for other people. So at the root of it, that's the core. So you get the weed, you get the root of it out. Wow, there we go. And then you let go of it and discard it. It's literally like digging a garden, digging all the roots out. You've got rid of that old tree stuff. You just literally dug it out from the root. So the moment, and I've really found that it's quite profound when you stop caring about what other people think and you stop thinking on behalf of other people, you've just eliminated a whole load of suffering from your life. And so it helps you in the end. So, but the ego doesn't want that. The ego wants to say, no, I'm right. Everyone else is wrong. I get to think for other people. And then I'm disappointed when they don't say the things that I want them to say or do the things that I want them to do.
And that's, and absolutely, because at the end of the day, they're not going to do it. So, you know,
And they shouldn't.
And they shouldn't. No, absolutely. And, you know, what right do I have to tell you what you're thinking or work out how you're interpreting it? And why would I bother anyway?
But here's, I don't know if you ever thought of this, but this thought's just occurred to me. We all have exactly the same ego.
Yeah.
It's in the same way we all have the same thought occasionally, because we're all inspired by the same thinking or way of thinking. We've all got the same ego protection, which prevents us from changing our thinking to a better way of being, because it's trying to maintain what it knows. Because it's like familiarity is comfort.
Yeah, well, familiarity, and again, it always comes back down to whatever the circumstances is familiar, like I'm an idiot, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other, whatever, which is familiar and comfortable. It always requires some level of courage, some level of accepting you're wrong, and or, well, accepting that you need to be somewhere else or do something else or get hold of a different branch to get out of that place, or to hang from another branch.
And here's another reason why people don't, and it's because, well, I survived yesterday and I'm surviving today with this belief, so the belief must be helping me survive. So I'm not going to let go of it because it must be doing something productive for me because I'm still here. That's how our evolutionary brain thinks. So if I think I'm pathetic and useless, that makes me go out and work hard and get money. Well, then that helps me, that thought.
It's a driver, right?
It's a driver, motivator.
And
as if you felt good enough, you probably wouldn't go out and consume shit you didn't need, and you probably wouldn't go and work hard at something that you don't really need to ascertain much.
And you may find that you're even happier. But here's the thing, like, it's kind of, just because it doesn't kill you, it doesn't mean it's not bad for you, right? You know, like alcoholism is a classic example of that, or anything else. You know, it's like, well, it didn't kill me yesterday, so that's okay. I can drink again today. Well, yeah, but it is probably killing you. But even if it isn't, you know, it's like, well, is it making anything any better? And the answer is probably not really, but that's a complicated subject, which we'll not.
That's why I like the name of our channel, because we're not saying one's right or wrong. It's just saying a better way for the individual. It's sort of like, and for the community, it's sort of like, what's a better way of communicating? What's a better way of thinking? What's a better way of feeling? What's a better way of behaving? What's a better perspective to take from this? And I think it's important to kind of keep digging with that curiosity instead of trying to establish an ideology based on how we think it should be.
Absolutely.
Just by looking at ourselves in the mirror, it helps other people look at themselves in the mirror.
Yes, and those levels of honest reflection and exploration of ideas, and you know, the thing is that I think another really important part of this is that everything is evolving all the time. You know, I'm not getting all evolutionary, but
everything's changing.
You know, everything's changing all the time. By definition, nothing stays the same ever. Nothing ever anywhere. It's all moving somewhere in some direction. And I think what's fundamental about that, and certainly when I've had long conversations with Nancy Klein, who is the put together, I never know what to call her, because she really hates the guru thing and all of that, quite rightly so. And the reason she hates the guru status of of perhaps people like Eckhart is that she's saying it doesn't really matter about me. And also, this is so fluid that this is changing day by day to a degree on some level. What I understand as right yesterday isn't necessarily, there's a fluidity to what needs to be. The second you make a rigid rule, you're into religion or logic or other things, and that's not necessarily going to be very helpful for being, because it is those rigid things that make us unhappy. The shoulds. It should be like this, but it isn't. I'm unhappy. Okay, well, maybe it should have been like that yesterday, but today maybe that's a bit different. Maybe we need to, maybe there's this, a constant analysis level on some, maybe there's some level of where there needs to be a constant analysis or a constant, but this is where, and you know, lots of people will say this, Jordan will say this, that you've got this, if everything's a in the moment reaction, but with the correct intentions, or with, and I guess nailing down, okay, here's nailing this down a little bit then. If I'm gonna, the second I say with correct intentions, what I'm saying is there is a method, a specific set of rules, and that's not the case. So how do you define, if I'm moving forward in the moment at all times, what is it that defines whether what I'm doing is a, and again, for want of a better word, because the second you start talking like this, even good and bad and all these words don't make any sense. What is it that then, what do I use as to navigate then? Here's a better way of looking at it. What star, what place, if everything's moving, do I use to navigate a peaceful way forward? A way that doesn't leave me and my mind bullying me and beating me up? Or is it really quite as simple as just letting go of all of that and, without sounding hippie, just being? Where are the rules? What are the rules? And is it that there are no rules? Because there can't be, because they would have to change every moment.
I think you're frozen or breaking up a bit.
Okay, how about now? It's been pretty solid. Let's move you over here somewhere. Are we there?
Hello?
Can you get down? Let's draw that down.
Why?
Just because I'm going to sit over here.
I don't want to get down.
Can you switch the light on? Get the chair. Okay,